threatened us with the daunting task of meeting the powerful and rested Braves this October, the Astros came into Atlanta quietly, then suddenly struck with great force. Led by a powerful rookie and a familiar hero from their past, the Astros left the ghosts of Division Series failures behind. Now the pressure is on the home team. Having never trailed in any division series, the Braves find themselves staring down the eyes of a 20-game winner, and another waiting for them Friday. Atlanta's mettle has been tested all season, and each time they've been up to the challenge. Another hero needs to step up today, or the team of the 90s will be down 2-0. Turner Field, Atlanta, the perennial home of postseason play, but could this be the last postseason game of 1999? The Braves are down 1-0 in a best-of-5 series. They need this win. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan, back from New York, New York. Nice to see you, Joe. Yeah. Let's see, Cincinnati on Monday night, and New York last night, and Atlanta today for this well-traveled broadcast.
Great.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Now, we've got the Braves, and they need to be at the top of their game today. And they've got a young right-hander, Kevin Millwood, going, and he was perhaps their best pitcher all year long, if not one of the best in the National League. In fact, since mid-August, he has been unbeaten with a 1.29 ERA, only 42 hits allowed in 77 innings. So he certainly has the credentials to make this big start for Atlanta. On the other hand, Joe, he has never before pitched in a game as big as this.
Well, and people may not understand, there is a big difference between today's ball game and the last game you pitched in the regular season. The intensity level for both sides will be turned up 2 or 3 notches. And in the first inning, I think it'll be very key for him. It depends on how he goes out there. If he overthrows, if he's going to be able to relax and throw strikes. If he can get out of the first inning, I expect him to pitch a good game. But the Astros are swinging the bats much better than in the past.
Now, Chipper Jones, who is a top MVP candidate, 45 home runs. Yesterday, the Astros pitchers showed they wanted nothing at all to do with him. He was walked twice, and another time he flied out on a 3-0 pitch, and the other time he swung at a first pitch changeup against Doug Henry in the 8th and grounded out. And what if they pitch around him again today, Joe?
Well, I think they will, John. I don't think there's any doubt that the Astros are not going to let Chipper Jones beat them. And I think that's a smart play. Make someone else in the lineup beat you. You know that Chipper Jones can drive in all the runs. You know he can hit the ball out of the ballpark. So why take the chance? That's the problem that the Braves face. They just do not have enough offense other than Chipper Jones.
Missing the big cat, Andres Galarraga. Now with us is Rick Sutcliffe, former big league pitcher. And what about Jose Lima, the 21-game winner for the Astros? Rick?
Thanks, John. Jose Lima, never a winning season his first 8 years in professional baseball. The last 2 years, 37 and 18. A conversation with Larry Dierker. He didn't tell him what his strengths were. He talked about the team strength, that being the infield. You pitch down, there's a 90-foot square with 5 gloves that can help you. In the outfield, a lot more room, only 3 gloves. Control and emotion. That's the strengths of Jose Lima, not control of his emotion. Sometimes he gets out of sync. He gets out of the game plan. The game plan yesterday for Shane Reynolds, don't let Chipper Jones beat you. He not only did that, but he was able to get Klesko out when he needed to. That's what Jose Lima's going to have to do today. Brian Jordan in that 4th hole, he'll be the key if Lima sticks to the game plan.
All right, Rick, and Rick Sutcliffe will be with us throughout the afternoon as our spotlight reporter from Atlanta. Big game of the Braves. They must win. It's coming up. Turner Field, Atlanta. And again, less than a sellout crowd here. The smallest crowd so far in the division series in these first-round games was the 39,000 here in Atlanta yesterday. And again, it looks to be a crowd about that size for this one, Game 2. Perhaps Atlanta fans are so jaded to the Braves' success, they figure these games are just a given. Well, the Astros showed that that was not true yesterday. And now the Braves need all the help they can get here today, as they just cannot afford to go to Houston down 2-0, not under any circumstances, but particularly with 22-game winner Mike Hampton, who may be the #1 candidate for the Cy Young Award in the National League this year. Mike Hampton will be awaiting their arrival on Friday and with full rest. Jose Lima going with 3 days of rest for the Astros here today, as the Astros try and go up 2-0. There's Mike Hampton, and what a year he had. He was unavailable, of course, to pitch yesterday, which would have been the ideal scenario for Larry Dierker's Astros, because he had to pitch the division clincher on Sunday at the Astrodome, and so doing he won number 22. The Astros with 2 20-game winners, and it's the first time that 20-game winners have started in back-to-back games in a postseason series since the Braves, Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine did it against the Phillies in games 2 and 3 of the 1993 National League Championship Series. And of course, if you know your baseball history, you'll recall the Braves lost that series as the Phillies went to the World Series that year. The Atlanta Braves take the field. We've got some overcast in the area. So the sun has been popping in and out of the cloudiness. It keeps threatening to turn into a sunshiny day, but the hitters, I think, would prefer if it stayed overcast, because with the shadows here, the long shadows of October, this time of day in Atlanta, the ball is real tough to see early on. Larry Dierker, the Astros manager for the 3rd straight season, taking his ball club to postseason play, and here's his batting order. The Pepsi starting lineup for Houston. Craig Biggio leads it off. He is again going to try and get something going here in postseason play. It has eluded him up till now. Yesterday, he was 1 for 5. Stan Javier, the former San Francisco Giant, starts in right field. Jeff Bagwell, first base. Carl Everett, batting cleanup, center field. Ken Caminetti, who was a star in yesterday's game, capping it off with a 3-run 9th-inning homer. Darrell Ward, who put them ahead in his first ever postseason game. He's a rookie with his big home run in the 6th inning. He's back in left field. Tony Eusebio, the catcher. Ricky Gutierrez at short. And Jose Lima, 21-10, the pitcher, batting 9th. And on the mound for the Atlanta Braves, 24-year-old right-hander Kevin Millwood, 18-7 this year, Joe.
And Millwood, John, is a completely different pitcher than Greg Maddux and even Tom Glavine. He's a guy that uses the up and down in the strike zone more than side to side. We saw a lot of questionable pitches yesterday with Maddux out there moving the ball from side to side, and he felt he was not getting the call. Well, Millwood will be higher or lower. He doesn't use the edges nearly as much as Glavine and Maddux does. He is more in the mode of John Schmaltz.
He's a big, tall guy, 6 feet 4 inches tall. Gastonia, North Carolina. There's the defense behind him.
And Brian Jordan in right field. He's the guy that's going to have to step up. He's a good defensive player as well as an offensive player, but he's had a sore wrist, but he's going to have to step up. And today they put him behind Chipper Jones instead of Ryan Klesko.
Klesko hit cleanup yesterday. Jordan there today, as he was most of the year, actually, until the hand injury became so acute in September. There's ball 1 to Biggio. And the Astros are asking, will the big day of Ken Caminetti yesterday and the first game win, which the Astros realized for the first time in these last 3 Octobers, allow the rather hyper Biggio to relax a little bit? You think, and you pointed it out too, Joe, that he overswings a little bit, maybe tries to try a little too hard in these postseason games. That's a foul out of play.
And, John, there's one other reason. You have to remember they have faced the Braves a lot. And they were facing the best pitching staff, you know, in baseball the last few years. And you have to run out there against Maddux and Schmaltz and then Glavine. It's not as easy as your normal week during the regular season. So a lot of pressure. And then last year they had to run into Kevin Brown, Andy Ashley, and Joey Hamilton. So they've had some tough assignments.
Yeah, that's off the outside of the fastball. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Millwood, in his first full year last year, was 17-8, but he pitched much better this year in winning 18 games. Got a whole lot better record, only 1 game better, but the way he accomplished it was much more impressive. And I know a couple of weeks ago in L.A., I was there for some games, Joe, and Eric Karras, the slugging first baseman of the Dodgers, said for his money, Kevin Millwood was the Cy Young winner in the league. That's a pop-up that may be playable. Giving way to Brett Boone is Klesko, and Boone in foul territory takes it. There is 1 away.
Well, the one thing that I noticed already is that the shadows are still on the field, right about the middle, you know, the front of the plate. They're in the shadows, whereas the pitcher will be in the light. You can see right there. And what happens there is that it comes out of the bright sunlight into the shadows, and it does hinder your view for a split second. I mean, it's tough to pick up the ball.
Kevin Millwood pitched only 1 game against the Astros this year. Stan Javier runs up as if to bunt, takes it too high for ball 1. And Millwood shut them down on only 2 hits for 7 innings. He had 11 strikeouts. This was in mid-June at the Astrodome. And Jeff Bagwell said it was the best game pitched against the Astros this year. That's too high. 2 balls, no strikes to Javier. Here's Jeff Bagwell awaiting his turn on deck. We've got 2 MVP candidates from the National League in this series. Javier again lays off. It's too high. 3-0. Here's the other one. Chipper Jones, who with 45 home runs and his extraordinary series against the Mets in this ballpark with about a week and a half left in the season that plunged the Mets into a slump. 3-0 the count. And a strike call to Javier. You know, I was asking Durker if he could compare Millwood to any pitcher. He thought about it a moment and he said Gaylord Perry. He said not necessarily physically or even necessarily with the kind of stuff that he throws. Fly ball to left. Gerald Williams drifts back and he's got it. But he says he's a big tall guy and he kind of plods around on the mound out there, and he seems that he can just go on and on and on and on. He has a great reservoir of strength. It's not real pretty out there, but very effective. 2 down, and here is Jeff Bagwell. Bagwell in game 1 was 1 for 4 and was walked intentionally with a runner at first base in the 9th inning. Sort of the ultimate respect paid to him by Bobby Cox. Fastball too low.
Yeah, that's a lot of respect.
Didn't work out all that well for Bobby Cox. The next batter, Everett, hit a sacrifice fly, and then Caminetti hit a 3-run homer. The game was broken open. Too high. 2-0. So Millwood has started behind both Javier and now Bagwell. Everett is on deck. That one is hit high in the air into left center. Coming in a little bit, Gerald Williams. And it's a 3-down inning for Kevin Millwood in his first postseason start. Now the Braves are coming up against Lima. Chipper Jones due third. Turner Field in Atlanta, the former home of the Olympic Games not so long ago. Here's the Atlanta Braves Pepsi starting lineup. It'll be Gerald Williams in left field. Brett Boone at second base. Chipper Jones third base. Chipper Jones in past division series 4 homers in only 14 games. The Braves are hoping that they'll have more of the same here today. Brian Jordan hits cleanup in right field. Ryan Plesko at first base. Andrew Jones, who was quiet yesterday, center field. Eddie Perez, the catcher. Jose Hernandez at shortstop. And Kevin Millwood bats ninth, the Atlanta pitcher. And on the mound for the Houston Astros, Jose Lima, a 21-game winner.
There you see Jose Lima's statistics. You know, John, I was most impressed on Saturday when he pitched against the Dodgers. I thought that's the best I had seen him throw. He had so much movement on his fastball, sinker. He was throwing a lot of sinkers and changeup, and he had complete control of all of them. And you see he and Bruce Fromming having a little, you know, I guess they're trying to see, you know what they were doing here? He's trying to make sure nothing's on the side of his pants. I guess someone had complained.
Lima, before the ball game, was a very emotional, excitable sort. And he goes through a few interesting sort of a little karate exercise there.
Well, see, Bruce Fleming went over and tried to see what that is on his pants there, and to make sure it wasn't something sticky. I still don't know what it is, but you're not supposed to have any foreign substances on your body if you're a pitcher. And Ken Caminetti is the guy we're highlighting in this defense, and he made some great plays yesterday. And as I've said in the past, if he catches it, you're out. He has one of the greatest arms ever for a third baseman. I would still be interested to see if they make Lima change pants, but you're not supposed to have any kind of a foreign substance on your uniform.
First pitch, a ball too low to Gerald Williams. You know, it looked to me, Joe, after Fleming came over, Lehman sort of mimed, that's a fastball for a strike, wiping perspiration off his brow and then wiping it off on his pants as if saying, oh, that's all that is. But that's some pretty heavy-looking perspiration there, isn't it?
He must have run 10 miles before he wiped it off or something. That's very, that looks like it has a lot of dirt in it.
Yeah. Maybe that's where he keeps his transmission fluid. Up the first base line. 2 balls, 2 strikes, just in case, he runs a little low.
Yeah, that's a little bit more than perspiration. But so far, he hasn't actually rubbed down there on the side.
And this is back when Fleming came over. He checked it out. Official inspection.
Well, he's trying to make sure it's not sticky or like pine tar, which gives you a chance to get a grip on it. A better grip on the ball, or you can put this pine tar on one side and the ball will sink a little bit more.
Well, who was doing that? 1988, Dodgers and Mets. I think Rick Honeycutt. Is it Rick Honeycutt? Or no, Jay Howell.
Right-handed.
Jay Howell.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rick.
Yeah, right-handed.
Nothing
pitcher.
personal.
Yeah.
Jay Howell had some kind of pine tar in his glove or whatever. That's a foul ball. 2-2 to Gerald Williams. Well, Larry Dierker was talking about comparing Millwood to Gaylord Perry. Isn't it ironic that his own pitcher, Jose Lima, has sort of a Gaylord Perry inspection go on out there?
Boy, that's that sinker he was throwing Saturday. I mean, excellent. That's not going to get there in time. But he had an excellent sinker on Saturday and a lot of ground balls. See, that right there is a little difference, John, in normal turf and AstroTurf. On AstroTurf, he would have been able to throw him out because the ball would have gotten to him sooner. On natural turf, slow hit balls become base hits. Now, see how deep Gutierrez is? If that's AstroTurf, see, that gets to him right about now. But he had to charge a couple of more steps, and Gerald Williams beats it out. You can see he had a real bad swing at that. He put the ball in play. It was a tough play for Gutierrez, and he's able to make it, but not in time to retire Gerald Williams.
There goes Gerald Williams. First ball swinging. Brett Boone pops it up, foul, and back out of play. Yesterday, Gerald Williams led off the first inning with a base hit. But then Brett Boone promptly grounded into a double play. So Chipper Jones only ended up batting 1 time yesterday with anybody on base. And even with 2 men on in the 5th inning, they ended up walking him with Ryan Klesko coming up. Oh, man. Kind of a wild cut on that high fastball. Ended his 0-2. Brett Boone, 1 for 4 yesterday. Very high. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, he chased the high one, so he went still higher. Chipper Jones on deck. The Braves, during the regular season, had the lowest on-base percentage from their first 2 hitters in the batting order than any other team in the league. And there's that changeup, and it's a great one. And that is the strikeout. So Boone is gone. Williams still at first, and here comes Chipper Jones.
That's a changeup from Lehman. He's got a great one. And it's not just a changeup, it's a changeup that really sinks and moves down. It doesn't stay on the same plane. I don't think you'll see Gerald Williams take off now, because if he's still second base, they would probably walk Chipper Jones. So I think he'll stay there now and allow Chipper to hit.
And the changeup low and outside. 1 ball and no strikes. Well, that's what it's all about right now for Atlanta, is trying to get Chipper something to hit. 1 ball, no strikes. 45 homers in the regular season. And that missed badly. 110 RBIs, a 319 average, but he also walked 126 times.
And, John, I can always tell if people are going to try to get him out in the first 2 pitches. If you're going to try to get Chipper Jones out, one of the first 2 pitches would be inside.
There goes Gerald Williams. Chipper takes low. The throw to second is there. Too late.
Well, obviously that surprised me, but he made it, and it surprised Lima, too. He threw a changeup. He doesn't have a great jump or a big lead, but it is a changeup, and Eusebio makes a good throw right on target, but Gerald Williams beats the throw there.
Now Chipper Jones with a ground ball deep to first on a 3-0 pitch. And Jeff Bagwell takes care of it as Williams moves over to third. So it's the second straight day that Chipper Jones on a 3-0 count in the first inning swings and makes it out.
Well, Jose Lima's not going to give him a fastball to hit. That's the changeup on the pitch that Gerald Williams stole.
And ball
second
3.
Base on, and ball 3.
Here's Jordan. And he takes low for ball 1. Runner at third, 2 down.
And Jordan, he decided he's going to go ahead and put him back in the spot.
That's a bloop, center field, and in there, base hit. Williams has scored, and Brian Jordan immediately has delivered. And Atlanta has gone ahead 1-0.
Now, when you were here earlier, remember Bobby Cox said that Brian Jordan had always picked up RBIs when he got the men in scoring position. Then he hurt his wrist, and a lot of things were going south for him. Since he's been back, I've seen a lot of hits like this. He doesn't have a lot of strength in his hands, but he keeps the ball level, bat level enough that he hits a lot of soft line drives. And this is just a little soft line drive into center field. Everett can't get there in time.
And Jordan, who is also capable of stealing a base, he's very fast. Back to the bag at first after the throw by Lima. Here is Ryan Klesko. He had a long day yesterday. 0 for 4. And takes a strike. It is 0-1. Well, Jordan told us yesterday that since he has been working with his personal trainer, Bob Kersey, who flies in before games and works on his hand, the right hand that has the problems. And he's back to the bag. And he said he suddenly has been able to swing the bat with a little more authority. He said he had so much pain in there, he began to be afraid that he was injuring the hand. Plus, the pain was so intense that his swing was being reduced to almost nothing. Fly ball shallow left along the line. Darrell Ward into the shadows. And that ends the inning. But the Atlanta Braves score first in this big game. Carl Everett coming up. It is not a sellout here at Turner Field in Atlanta. Nonetheless, the Major League Baseball team of the 90s, the Atlanta Braves, have jumped ahead of the Houston Astros, despite the apparent indifference of many of their fans, even in this must-win ball game. Here's Carl Everett back to the screen, and it is 0-1. Everett, the cleanup hitter, who just had his best year, a .325 average, 25 homers, 108 runs batted in, facing Kevin Millwood. And Joe, you mentioned at the top of the telecast, first inning could be a key inning for Millwood. He did retire the side in order.
Right, but he was a little shaky, and he got behind a couple of hitters. He was behind Javier 3-0 and came back. He was behind Bagwell 2-0 and had to give him a fastball, and Bagwell just missed it. But I think he accomplished what he wanted, obviously, to get out of the first inning without any trouble. And he probably will relax as the game goes along.
And Caminetti is on deck. That ball, too, is back out of play. Darrell Ward due up third in the inning. So you got 3 power hitters consecutively coming up here for the Houston Astros. There's Caminetti on deck. 2 strikes. Curveball. Man, that was a beauty.
So that's basically what you get from Millwood. Good fastball, change up, and then he throws that good curveball. And that's why I say he kind of overpowers the hitter. He's not using the edges. I mean, that's a good breaking ball right there. Look how far that ball breaks.
It's the hammer.
And just drops almost straight down. Look at it. There's great rotation right there.
Now Ken Caminetti. And the fastball foul tipped into the glove of Perez, and it is 0-1. Caminetti, 3 more RBIs yesterday. Since he came back from the disabled list in mid-August, he had the 4th highest number of RBIs in the National League behind Vladimir Guerrero, Gary Sheffield, and Greg Vaughn, all of whom were extremely hot down the stretch. That gives you an idea how hot he has been. That slider on the outside for a strike. 1 ball, 2 strikes now to Caminetti. 1-0 Atlanta leading in the second. That fastball is crunched deep to right field, way back there, and Caminetti has done it again. It's tied up. A 1 ball, 2 strike count, and Caminetti got one to drive, and he didn't miss it.
John, the one thing I always remember about Caminetti is when he gets hot, he stays hot for a while. I mean, the only reason he cools off is he gets injured or something. And he looks like he's swinging the bat very well from both sides right now. Home run yesterday came from the right side. Now he drives one out of here from the left side. Well, let's see how far he misses the target by a long shot. That was supposed to be a waste pitch just off the outside corner or near the outside corner, and he missed and got it in the middle of the plate.
Now Darrell Ward, the rookie, who homered yesterday and hit what proved to be the game-winning home run yesterday. Just a look at that home run by Caminetti from Mascan, being worn by Eddie Perez today.
You can see Perez is set up over the outside, and that ball's over the inside part, so he missed quite a bit with that pitch.
Slider on the outside, 0-2 to Ward. Darrell Ward hitting a home run in his first postseason game yesterday. Only one other Houston player's ever done that. And it was a home run to remember in those 1986 playoffs between the Mets and Astros. That curveball bounced foul. See if you can remember this one. It was the second inning of game one. Remember, Mike Scott just shut down the Mets that night. And the only run of the game against Dwight Gooden was on a home run by Glenn Davis in his first postseason game, the slugging first baseman of the Astros bench. Ward went up after that high fastball and skies one to shallow left. Hernandez, the shortstop. Out number 2. Ken Caminetti, quite a difference between last year and this year. Last year, he was limping, he was hurting. Nothing was working right. Every time he swung, there was a grimace, often falling over, hitting only 200, but he's had the big first 2 days so far. A year later, Tony Eusebio, too late on that fastball. It's 0-1. But Joe, I remember when the Padres, the year that Caminetti won the MVP award in the National League, 1996, they made the postseason that year. And in that division series against St. Louis, although there were only 3 games played, Cardinals swept him. Caminetti hit 3 home runs in that series.
Like I said, when he gets hot, he stays hot for a while.
The shortstop on the slider, and Hernandez throws him out. But the Braves lead was short-lived. Ken Caminetti does it again. It is 1-1. Andrew Jones coming to bat. Game 2 of this division series, the Astros and Braves tied at 1, lasted a second inning. More action tonight. In fact, the Red Sox and Cleveland Indians about to get started at Jacobs Field, 8 o'clock Eastern on Fox with Pedro Martinez and Bartolo Colon. Quite a matchup there. Then at 11 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. Game 2, the Mets and the Diamondbacks, and the homestanding Diamondbacks in the same predicament as the Braves. They must win. Mets and Diamondbacks on ESPN tonight at 11, 8 Pacific on ESPN. Interesting decision last night. And I mean, for us here in the Eastern Time Zone this morning, when Buck Showalter left Matt Manti, his big strikeout pitcher, in the bullpen in the 9th inning with the bases loaded, and brought in Bobby Chenard. And then Chenard, in relief of Randy Johnson, ended up giving up the grand slam with a 4-4 tie to Edgardo Alfonso. Here's Andrew Jones, first ball swinging. Gutierrez throws out the speedy Andrew Jones. On one pitch, Jones is gone. Now, Chipper Jones, we speculated about whether they'd pitch to him, Joe. The count went to 3-0, his first at bat.
And he throws him a changeup. It is a strike. It appears to be a strike, but Chipper out in front, and he grounds it to Bagwell. I think what they're going to do with Chipper is say, hey, you get yourself out. We can't get you out, but we'll let you get yourself out. We're not going to give in to you. He's going to see a lot of changeups and pitches just out of the strike zone, probably.
Here's Eddie Perez, the Atlanta catcher. Slider a little bit low for ball 1. Well, it's interesting. I mean, a 3-0 count, you don't usually expect a changeup.
Well, I think in his case, you're just going to have to look for the ball if you're going to hit 3-0. You can't say I'm looking fastball. You have to hit like there's a runner in scoring position, which there was, and the count 1 ball, no strikes, or whatever. You have to look for the ball because I don't think they're going to give him a fastball in the middle of the plate whenever they get a hit or even, in the count or even behind in the count.
2-0 to Eddie Perez. 1 out, nobody on. And the changeup.
And, John, when you do great things, you have to pay the price for it. They're just not going to let Chipper Jones be the guy. Makes a lot of sense to me.
And, I mean, it brings to mind, really, what a great season the Braves had without Andres Galarraga. Nice play there by Ricky Gutierrez, although Perez is not running well with bad knees. 2 down, nobody on. Jose Hernandez. And the other part of that, Joe, part of losing Galarraga was that they had signed Brian Jordan, and he was having an outstanding year. I thought he was one of the MVP guys. But then his hand was hit by a pitch back in midsummer, and it just got worse and worse, and he lost a lot of the pop from his bat.
Yeah, right now he's just guiding the ball, putting the ball in play. He's still getting a few hits, driving in some runs, but he's not the same Brian Jordan that we saw most of the first half of the season.
And 1 ball, no strikes to Jose Hernandez. Jordan with an RBI today. That's pulled foul by Hernandez.
But that's going to hurt Chipper, too, because they realize, well, Brian can get a base hit, but he's not going to drive the ball out on you more than likely. So they're still going to take their chances with Brian Jordan rather than Chipper Jones.
Jose Hernandez, former Cub, 1 ball, 2 strikes now. Hernandez hit 19 home runs this year. He's got some pop. And you may be saying, well, where's Walt Weiss? Well, Bobby Cox apparently figures he needs that little extra offense. Hernandez just might pop one. This one well, but the straightaway center caught out there by Everett. A 9-pitch inning for Lima. 1-1 the score heading to the 3rd. In Atlanta, Astros 1, Braves 1. Let's check in with our spotlight reporter, Rick Sutcliffe.
Thanks, John. This is a typical Kevin Millwood at bat right here with Carl Everett. He's going to challenge him with that first fastball. He's proud of it, and he's got a good one. Now he's going to climb the ladder. As Joe mentioned, he goes more north and south. Look at him continuing to go up. Now Everett started to catch up with that last heater. That lets him know he can come with the off-speed pitch. For Millwood, it's a curveball down. You spin him like a top. That's the key to success for Millwood. He's learned that from watching Maddox, Lavin, and Smoltz the last couple of years.
All right, that's Rick Sutcliffe with us throughout the day as our spotlight reporter, taking us inside the game a little bit. And that's the ball off the outside. Although, on the other hand, Joe, I mean, really, Rick Sutcliffe, what does he know about pitching? Ricky Gutierrez, the hitter. Swing and a miss. 1 ball, 1 strike.
He had all the pitches to work with, too. Fastball, curveball, slider, and a changeup. I used to hate that changeup.
Yeah, but I heard you took him deep.
No, he threw that changeup, man.
Look out. Watch it. It's a bat in the stands. Incoming. And Tal Smith, the man who was there when they first opened the Astrodome. He helped build the Astrodome. He's the man who caught that bat.
So you know he's going to give it back. I saw Tal before the ball game, and he was in good spirits, of course, after last night's win.
President of the Astros.
And his son is general manager of the Detroit Tigers.
And they brought Tal a souvenir bat from the Astros dugout. he promptly gave back Gutierrez his game bat, so they brought him a souvenir from the dugout. That's a dribbler. Millwood's going to have to hurry. Falls down and gets it anyway, throwing from a sitting position.
That was probably some young kid that didn't know that he was the president and just was trying to be a good Samaritan. Nice play here by Millwood. He gets off the mound in great shape. Now watch, he reached down, pick it up. Now his feet slide out from under him, and he has to throw from a sitting position. Not easy to do. You don't practice this too often in spring training or even during the season.
I don't recall seeing it practiced.
No.
Kids, do not try this at home. Kevin Millwood is a highly trained professional. Now Jose Lima will come up. Lima hit .080 this year. 6 hits in 75 at-bats. One strike to count. 1 out, nobody on. The Astros won. The Braves won in the 3rd inning. Biggio, the leadoff man, on deck. Oh, right there, outside corner. Nice pitch. 0-2 the count. Well, Millwood quickly ahead, and the slider puts him away. His 2nd strikeout. 2 down, and leadoff man Craig Biggio heads to the plate. Well, we can see why Millwood is so tough to hit. In fact, he was tougher to hit than any pitcher in the major leagues based on the batting average of the opposition. Major league hitters hit only .202 against him.
That's better than Pedro Martinez, right?
Pedro Martinez, they hit .205 against him.
They beat him up, right?
Oh, yeah. Obviously, Pedro's very much overrated. Back. Millwood can do it all. Wow. He caught that one standing up. But that behind the back move, he's styling. 3 up and 3 down. Millwood will be the first hitter in the Braves' third. It's Houston 1, Atlanta 1. We'll be back. Houston 1, Atlanta 1, last of the third inning. Kevin Millwood coming up for the Braves after making a couple of excellent plays defensively in the first half of this inning. Now we'll see Millwood, the hitter. And that one is hit deep and foul down the left field line. Joe, he has taken matters into his own hands here.
Well, he was definitely trying to go big fly right there. This is visual, hitting the ball back up the middle. He just reaches back, bare hand, backhands it, and then it becomes an easy play. I mean, that's a tough play. You just reach back and hope you stab it, and he did so. You reach where you think it's going to be.
He takes the ball now. 1 ball, 1 strike. Kevin Millwood hit 154 this year with 1 home run and 6 RBI. That's a foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes. He had 12 hits during the year. So, Joe, he's just taking it on all himself. He's going to do the pitching. He's going to field all the ground balls and try to hit all the home runs.
Well,
maybe that's what it takes.
I was going to say, it's great if it works.
He is down on a changeup. Strike 3. Second strikeout for Lima. You know, Pedro Martinez is pitching tonight in Cleveland. I mean, Martinez, who had just a monster year against a club that scored more runs than any team in Major League Baseball in 49 years. So that's quite an interesting matchup there.
Well, you're on record now saying that he can't shut them down. Now, you're already on record saying that.
I said he can't shut them down?
Yeah, in the conference call the other day.
No, I said he can't beat them all by himself.
Oh. Well, if he shuts them down, he'll beat them.
He will. So you media guys are always misquoting me.
No, but
now you're in the media. You're just always trying to be controversial.
No, but I mean, I pretty much agree with you. They've got so many good hitters there. It's going to be very difficult for him to shut them down completely.
Well, now that's another conversation, but I think that one thing we've seen with this Cleveland lineup in the past, guys like Randy Johnson and you know, excellent pitchers down the list, they kind of wear you down. I mean, it's tough to go longer than 7 innings or so against them because you have to throw a lot of pitches to a lot of guys. And the guy who's facing him tonight may not give up too many either.
Well, it's a perfect pitching matchup. If you're the Indians, this is the guy you want to send out there against him. That's Bartolo Colon. I mean, he can shut Boston down, just not, you know, I won't say as easily as Martinez can shut down the Indians, but, I mean, both of them have excellent stuff. But, you know, Martinez is on such a roll, John, that it's, you know, it's just hard to imagine anything but a good performance from him tonight.
Yeah, well, that's what you expect. But the thing I think that could linger is how long is he going to be able to go? I mean, if they keep making him throw a lot of pitches. Gerald Williams swinging at the shoulder high fastball, and he's down on strikes. He had an infield single starting the first inning and scored the Atlanta run later.
Both of these pitchers pitching similar to each other, John. They get 2 strikes and they go up the ladder with the fastball, the high fastball. Look at this, up and out of the strike zone. And what they would do if he takes that pitch, he comes back with a changeup the next pitch. That's kind of a show-me fastball. If you chase it, I'll get you out. If you don't, I'll throw you a changeup the next pitch.
0-1. What I did say about the Red Sox in this series with Cleveland is at this level of play, the postseason, as that fly ball goes to right by Brett Boone out there in the sunshine, Javier, and the inning is over.
Hold that thought.
I don't even know if it was a real good thought. Javier Bagwell coming up. Astros 1, Braves 1. Oh, Bruce Wayne is here, Joe, from Wayne Manor.
He just destroyed his image.
Oh,
Batman drinking a beer.
I revealed his secret identity. Batman, come on now. Stan Javier leads it off. He flied out to left his first time, facing Kevin Millwood. First ball swinging here, drives it into left field. Going back is Williams. And there is one away. Now Jeff Bagwell.
Sorry, that thought you had. You were talking about Cleveland.
It wasn't all that great. It was just what I was thinking, what I had said before the series was that the same question that existed about the Red Sox before the season started still exists now.
Yeah, true.
Without Mo Vaughn,
right?
Other than Nomar Garcia-Parra, they may have the same problem that Atlanta's got right now. And if you pitch around Nomar versus pitching around Chipper, where's the offense going to come from?
And I think what you find in the postseason, John, that they're facing better pitchers who are able to keep most of those hitters in the ballpark, and that makes a big difference. You know, I wasn't defending Bagwell and Biggio, you know, for what they've done in the past, but they've been facing the best pitching staff in baseball, you know, when they faced the Braves in those 2 playoff situations. And then last year they had a hot Kevin Brown and Alan Ashby going, Andy Ashby. So it's tough. I mean, and tonight, I mean, the Red Sox are going to face Bartolo Colon. He's going to be tough on them. Pedro's going to pitch, and he'll be tough. In the postseason, you find out the guys that can really make adjustments and handle tough pitching.
There's been many a great hitter who did not have big numbers in the postseason. Ted Williams, for one. Yeah. Bagwell, the hitter, 3 infielders shifted around to the left side against him as he soars a pop-up foul.
And I'm still amazed, John, when I looked at, you know, the one time Ted Williams, I guess, was in the World Series, his numbers were just look like mine. You know what I mean? And that's Ted Williams, the greatest hitter who ever lived. So it is a little, it does change.
You mean you didn't hit well in postseason play?
I had a couple of hits here and there.
You're so humble.
One couple of hits.
Couple of hits today. There's a curveball. Got him swinging. Man, Millwood has got the great hook going right now. 2 down. Now Carl Everett. So Bagwell is 0 for 2 in this one.
Let's take a look at this curveball. It's a big breaking curveball, and Bagwell was fooled not only by the speed, but the break of the ball. And good curveballs can do that. They get you both with the speed, which acts like a changeup, and they get you with your break because that gets you with the movement.
2 down. Here's Carl Everett. And that curveball right over the top of it. More of a
slider. That was good. I agree. That was more of a slider. And I think it's because of where he threw it from. The one to Bagwell, he got more on top.
And another slider pulled foul, and quickly he's ahead of Everett, 0-2. He struck out Everett the first time. We got Everett chasing those high fastballs, as Rick Sutcliffe showed us, and then throws him with the hammer. The big curveball, not 2 sliders. And the curveball again, this time looking for strike 3. And Millwood is starting really to turn it on. He's retired 8 in a row since Caminetti's home run. Chipper Jones coming up. It is 1-1. Today, Astros 1, Braves 1, and Chipper Jones at the plate against Jose Lima. He's strike on the outside.
And John, I think if you're Chipper, this is maybe the best way for you to hit. Leading off an inning, they do not want to walk you, and they may come after you, and at least then they realize, well, I'm only going to give up a solo homer. And he did throw a good pitch over the outside corner to get ahead in this count with this bat.
1 ball, 1 strike. And a changeup, too low. 2-1. Brian Jordan, who drove in the Atlanta run in the first inning, and then Ryan Klesko to follow. Bobby Cox had so much success managing the Braves. That one is ripped into right field. The first hit of the series for Chipper Jones.
And if you're Jose Lima, you say, hey, you know, he didn't do any damage. I was going to make good pitches. If he hits them, okay. If not, I walk him. And that's probably, this looks like a changeup. It is a changeup, and it's tailing away. You see Chipper a little bit out front. When he's out in front like this, he's not going to hit the ball out of the ballpark against you. See how he's just reaching? And that's good hitting. He kept the bat level through the zone long enough to hit a line drive. But the changeup had him off balance a little bit.
Now, another part of Chipper Jones' game is that once he's at first, he's well capable of stealing second.
And that's why I said leading off may be his best chance to do some damage, because you hate to walk a guy leading off the inning when he can run and when he can steal a base.
He picked his spots well. He had 25 steals, but was only thrown out 3 times.
It's a great percentage.
Brian Jordan with a big rip on that high fastball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Brian Jordan hit .317 for the year with men in scoring position, and he finished the year with 115 runs batted in. But there was a good time of this, or during this season, where it looked like he was headed for maybe 135, 140 RBI.
Right.
On that changeup, 1 hop to third. Caminetti, the second one. Biggio back to first. Not in time. Jordan is just too quick.
Yeah, and that's In order to have a chance to double up Jordan, it has to be one of the throws will have to be short, meaning it has to be a ground ball to shortstop, a short flip to second, and the long throw to first. You're not going to make 2 long throws to get him. So just a long throw here by Caminetti to get to second base, and then another long throw by Biggio at first base. You're just not going to get him with 2 long throws trying to make a double play.
So now Jordan at first, and here is Ryan Klesko. He flied out to shallow left with the ball in play. The runner, Jordan, was off, and the ball picked up in center by Everett, and easily to third goes Jordan. So you can see the Braves kind of force the action a little bit. Jordan took off, and Klesko ripped it over the middle, so Jordan is easily over to third base. Must be a little slippery in the grass out there. Everett almost fell over out there.
And I think it's a great strategy by Bobby Cox. Your team is struggling a little bit, so what happens is your big guys go up there trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark all the time. So by putting runners in motion, you allow them to get singles to get the job done rather than trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark.
We saw Gerald Williams steal a base in the first inning, and that led to a run. Now Andrew Jones. He swings and pops it up. On the left side of the infield, Gutierrez. That's a big out. Andrew Jones could have gotten a run home without getting a hit there, but on the first pitch he lunged for a ball. So the young Andrew Jones has already been a World Series hero in the past. Looking over anxious right there.
And you know what's great is he was looking for a fastball. Lima threw him a changeup. John, but I was watching Lima. He popped the ball up, and Lima went to a dead sprint to get behind home plate. And he got back there, and he started doing a little dance once the guy caught the ball. What? I mean, see, look at that pitch. I mean, even if it's a fastball, you don't swing at that. I mean, that is better than a pitcher's pitch. That's down and away with an off-speed pitch.
Slider to Eddie Perez. 1 ball, no strikes. Now the Braves need that big 2-out hit. It's a 1-1 game in the 4th inning. Jordan still at third. Klesko still at first. And the changeup popped foul and out of play off to the right. 1 ball, 1 strike. Tomorrow, a travel day in this series, and they will reconvene on Friday at the Astrodome. Tom Glavine and Mike Hampton scheduled. The shortstop right to Gutierrez, and Biggio gets the put out on Klesko coming in. The Braves had first and third, 1 out, and they are not able to score. Caminetti, Darrell Ward, Tony Eusebio, the hitters due up. It is 1-1.
Hey, Phil, you...
Game 2 of the National League Division Series. The Houston Astros over the Atlanta Braves, 1-1 as we head over. They're tied 1-1. As I'm distracted here because of the Aflac trivia question. Which ESPN analyst pitched in Game 3 of the 1989 National League Championship Series?
You asking me?
Was it you?
No, are you asking me who it was, or is it just for the fans?
Yeah, but it's just for the fans.
Okay, I'll...
Yeah, because I know you don't know.
That's the only trivia question I do know. Yeah, that's the only one I do know at this point.
The other...
And now I'm starting to worry if I'm wrong, even on that.
Yeah, see, don't say it in public.
Okay.
Here is Kent Caminetti against Kevin Millwood. Caminetti homered on a 1-ball, 2-strike count his first time. Which ESPN analyst pitched in the National Championship Series 1989. That was the Cubs and the Giants.
See, I'm correct now.
So Greg Maddux is not an ESPN analyst.
No.
Okay.
So I'm correct, though. I know.
So now you know.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, it wasn't this guy, and it wasn't this guy.
Yeah. Although...
Hey, maybe it was that guy out in the back over there.
1 ball, 2 strikes. The curveball missing. And the outside to Kent Caminetti. Well, whoever it was, Joe, I know he didn't get Will Clark out.
You're right, because no one got him out.
Will Clark at 650 in that series. The plate umpire, Charlie Williams, did a header going out from behind the plate on that one, but Millwood handled himself very capably in throwing out Caminetti.
He must have maybe tripped over the catcher's mask, because he started out in front calling the ball fair, and I looked up and he was on the ground. Let's look here. Yeah, the catcher drops his mask. No, he trips over his foot.
We have an umpire dune.
Yeah, he trips over Eddie Perez's leg as he was trying to get out in front of home plate and call it fair.
We need.
Well, he was hustling.
Oh man, he was down. One down, and here one out and one down. Here is Darrell Ward. That's a strike. Ward popped up to short his first time. Tommy McCraw. It was fun talking to Tommy about this guy. I mean, he is just so excited about the possibilities for Darrell Ward, son of Gary Ward, the former major leaguer. And one thing Tommy McCraw said, Joe, with a guy like this who grew up around the game, he's not awed by being here. You know, he faces Greg Maddux. Right. Well, what's the big deal? What does he throw? How's he going to attack me? What do I need to do? Ricky Henderson, he's come home with Dad for dinner. He remembers playing in the backyard, playing catch with Ricky Henderson, guys like that. He grew up around the game, like Ken Griffey Jr. and Stan Javier, who's here, Barry Bonds, yeah. That's slider. By that whole clubhouse of Cincinnati Reds kids that used to hang around when you were there. There's Tom McCraw. Back in action after his battle with cancer this summer. That ball is a foul out of play by Ward. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
John, I'll tell you, I haven't seen Ward except on the highlight films, but the first pitch to him was a fastball up, and it was probably a little bit out of the zone, but he didn't even, he just kind of flinched a little bit, but he didn't change his demeanor, and that tells you something about a young player.
And look at that. On the tough breaking ball, he's got a chance, but nice play by Hernandez. Throws him out by a step at first base. Beautiful.
That was a great play. I mean, the throw is what makes it so tough. He's running away from first base toward the third base line, and he has to throw back across his body. This is also good hitting. Look at this pitch. That's a tough pitch. And he puts it in play. You see Hernandez running toward third base, able to get enough on the throw and throw it accurately at first base. Well, the one good thing for him, it came up. He didn't have to go down and dig it out of the dirt before he made the throw.
That kind of looked like a Tony Gwynn swing there. Here's Tony Eusebio back to the screen. So if Tony hits it when he hits much harder and through that hole.
It'll find the hole.
What's Tony call it? Through the 6 hole. Now Eusebio, who grounded out to short his first time. 2 down, nobody on. And that slider on the outside for a strike. 0-2. Man, the Yankees last night. I don't know if you had a chance to see that game, Joe. Man, they just destroyed Texas again.
I'm still amazed at Texas not being able to score runs.
That curve in the dirt from Millwood. Well, he is really on a roll himself right now. 1-1 the score in the 5th inning. The last time the Astros had a hit was Caminetti's home run in the 2nd inning. He's retired 10 in a row since then. And the curveball for the strikeout. Make it 11. The Astros have put only 1 man on base against him through 5 innings. 1-1, halfway through it. Astros 1, Braves 1, last of the 5th inning. From Turner Field in Atlanta. Now the Aflac trivia question answer. Which ESPN analyst pitched in Game 3 of the 1989 NLCS? Who else? Rick Sutcliffe, our spotlight reporter today. High pop-up. Jose Hernandez hitting the top fly, and Carl Everett making the catch. 1 away. Mark Grace was one of the big stories in that series, hitting, it seemed to me, he hit over 600 for the Cubs, and would have been the story of the series, perhaps, if it were not for the fact that Will Clark hit 650.
In fact, Will Clark hit one of the first grand slam ever against Greg Maddux.
Remember, Will Clark said that Don Zimmer went to the mound. He was managing the Cubs then, to talk to Maddux, and Will Clark read his lips and knew what was coming. Now you see guys, they always go out there and put their gloves in front of their face when they talk on the mound. There's Greg Maddux.
John, I had figured out that Aflac quiz that it was Rick Sutcliffe because he's the only pitcher that's an ESPN analyst.
Really?
Yeah.
1 ball, 1 strike. Shallow right field, and beyond Biggio. Kevin Millwood just taking matters into his own hands. He is now 1 for 2 in this game, and allowing just 1 base runner while pitching. 1-1 in the 5th inning. Coming up now Friday night on ESPN, Sports Century, the 50 greatest athletes. Number 17 at 10 o'clock Eastern, Magic Johnson. He was the #1 pick in the NBA draft in '79 after leading Michigan State to an NCAA title, then helped the Lakers to 5 championships in the '80s, a 3-time NBA MVP. Then at 10:30, the fabulous Ted Williams. He hit .406 in 1941. That figure alone has become a baseball icon. He's twice won the Triple Crown. Hall of Famer Ted Williams, number 16, at 10:30 Friday on ESPN. Here is Gerald Williams, and he takes a called strike from Jose Lima. Oh, 1 to Williams, who's had an infield single, a stolen base, and a run scored. Eusebio dropped that one, but holding it first, Millwood. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1 run, 5 hits for Atlanta. 1 run, 1 hit for the Astros. You mentioned how you were shocked that Texas continues to be unable to score against the Yankees. No more shocked than Johnny Oates. I saw Johnny talking in the post-game press conference last night on ESPN. I mean, he was stunned. He just said, there's no way I would ever believe that this lineup could be shut down like that many times. 2-2 the count. Well, maybe tonight's... No, they're not playing
not
tomorrow.
Tonight.
Tonight they're playing.
They're going to get shut out today, too.
Yep. Again.
Yeah, again. But tomorrow, maybe they can start scoring some runs.
That's a foul out of play. I mean, what a lineup that is. I remember 1996 when the Yankees won the World Series. Texas won the first game of that playoff series in the division playoffs and was ahead in the 9th inning of the second game. It looked like the Yanks were going to be out in a hurry. They came back in the 9th inning and won. 1 hop to Biggio. He juggles it, gets the 1 out. The lead runner, Millwood, at second base. He kind of trapped that against his chest there to get the lead runner.
Yeah, it looked like the ball hopped up on him, but he stayed in front of it, made sure. See, this looks like it's going to be a perfect double play bouncer. So see that big hop? And it hit him in the chest. Rolled around a little bit, but he's able to retire Millwood at second base.
Now Brett Boone, who has struck out, flying to right. We'll keep an eye on Gerald Williams. This could be a time for him to try a steal with 2 down. He did steal back in the first inning. And the Braves have been aggressive on the base paths.
Big change of motion there by Lima. He speeded his motion up.
And then threw him a changeup. Williams, 19 steals for the year. He's very fast. Into the hole at short and through. Gutierrez couldn't get down for it. Williams is going to challenge. Ward throw. 2. So Boone just did get the single through. Man, that's a big miss at shortstop by Gutierrez because it gives Chipper Jones a chance to bat with 2 men on.
Well, he got there, but you're right. He didn't get the glove down in time. There's his changeup again. Brett Boone way out in front. And watch, this ball just kind of goes under his glove. He just didn't get down in time. And you see Gerald Williams hustling around the third, close play at third. Caminetti tried to actually block him off.
Well, now Chipper Jones. He is grounded out to first, and he is single to right. Fastball on the outside corner. Nice pitch. It is 0-1.
Smart pitch, John. Very smart.
6 hits in this game for the Braves, all singles. Changeup, and he just got a piece of that one. Quickly, he's in a hole, 0-2.
Well, what he can do now, Johnny, has a lot of leeway here. If he wants to get him out with a changeup, let him look at a couple of fastballs. One maybe inside and then one away. Looks like he's going right back. Yeah, like that.
Fastball in the hands, fouled away.
That's a good, smart pitch right there because it keeps Chipper from leaning out over the plate. And since he fouled it, you got a chance to waste one more fastball. This is a very key at bat, so I would go ahead and waste another fastball. I'd let him see one more fastball, not in the strike zone.
2 on. He went back to the changeup. It's a gigantic hop. Bagwell beats him to the bag.
Good pitching there by Lima.
14 innings in the books in this division series. The Braves have only scored 2 runs and have not had an extra base hit. 1-1.
ESPN's coverage of the divisional playoffs is brought to you by Circuit City. Answers in every department, low prices all over the store.
We're at Turner Field, Atlanta. 6th inning. Nothing decided yet. It is 1-1. One thing is evident, however, that is Kevin Millwood is completely in control. Mickey Gutierrez tries to bunt his way aboard, but fouls it into the seats off to the right on a bounce. Pitcher Jose Lima up next. And that's not a bad play by Gutierrez.
It's a great idea, John. There are times when, you know, you just think that the guy is on top of his game. Do anything to break his rhythm.
1 strike delivery. I mean, if he could reach base, then Lima with a chance to bunt him over, and maybe you can concoct a run out of almost nothing. Which is a good thing to do when a guy is completely dominating your lineup like Kevin Millwood. That slider fouled straight back. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The only hit, though, was a big hit by Ken Caminetti, a big fly back in the 2nd inning. Millwood has thrown only 62 pitches, and most of them have been in the strike zone. Just a little bit low with that fastball. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
John, when a guy is on a roll, you have to do whatever you can to break that rhythm. A bunt, make him cover first base, a lot of different things, but just try to do something.
Man, that curveball, and that has been a great weapon for him today. His 6th strikeout.
Well, John, it's not just a curveball. A curveball that starts in the strike zone and breaks out. That's when a curveball is most effective. See, it was a strike for a while. And when a hitter has 2 strikes on him, it's very difficult for him to lay off of that curveball when it starts in the strike zone.
1 down, Jose Lima. He struck out his first time. Lima also pitching extremely well. He foul tips that one into the glove of Perez. Lima given up 6 hits, but they've all been singles.
I think he was setting him up right there, John, with that swing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You don't think he's that bad a swinger?
No, I think that was just, he was just, you know, setting him up. See, he was. That was a much better swing.
Brian Jordan right at the foul line in fair territory to retire Lima. Coming up on Saturday at 3:30 Eastern Time on ABC Sports, 4 great college football regional games. 15th ranked Purdue versus number 19 Ohio State. Oklahoma against number 23 Texas. North Carolina versus 8th ranked Georgia Tech. And 22nd rated USC versus Arizona, or Oregon UCLA. Saturday 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific on ABC.
Well, that's supposed to be Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Oh, boy, I tell you. Keith Jackson is doing those West Coast games.
Yeah, West Coast. Hey, it's a good gig if you can get it.
And I was in San Diego as we look at Biggio with that first swing and a miss here.
Good slider down and away from Millwood. Millwood is making a lot of quality pitches, John. I think that's the key. Again, a good pitch down. He's not making any mistakes.
Chipper Jones, and Biggio is gone. Well, he's making it look easy now. 14 in a row he has retired. Brian Jordan will come to bat when we return. When we go to the last of the 6th inning, let's go to our spotlight reporter, Rick Sutcliffe.
John, Jose Lima makes more mistakes with his slider than he does his changeup. That's the reason Bobby Cox flip-flopped his 4 and 5 hitter. Here's a slider to Brian Jordan in the 1st inning. The only mistake Lima has made. Look at his 2nd at bat. He goes to the changeup, Lima's best pitch, and he almost gets the double play right there. Lima, much better movement on that changeup and more consistent than he is with that slider.
All right, Rick, and Brian Jordan is at the plate again. A fastball swung on and missed. And one thing that Rick Sutcliffe had pointed out at the head of our telecast was Jose Lima and the emotional Jose Lima, being able to hold those emotions in check, which was essential for him to have the kind of stuff he would need today, as Jordan fouls that one back. And Rick, your assessment so far as to Lima in terms of his emotion?
You know, when you first look at Lima, John, you think that he's showing somebody up. But Jeff Bagwell, to me, is a true professional. And he says that Lima's not showing anybody up. That's just the way he is day in, day out. Bagwell actually says Lima's one of his favorite all-time teammates.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, they always say that when the guy wins 21 games, right?
It doesn't hurt anything, does it?
Off the mound quickly, Lima, barehanded pickup, and he throws out Brian Jordan, and there is one away. Well, Rick, we were talking about the emotions and the way he handles things. Let's take a look.
He really uses this to gain strength as the game goes on. Right there, Bruce Brumming wondering about what that was on his leg. He kind of shakes it off a little bit. He laughs about it. As Joe said, he was dancing after he got the pop-up from Andrew Jones on the infield. I think the key, I think Larry Dierker was right. Running Lima out there on 3 days rest. He's not trying to overpower anybody. He's thrown very few fastballs in the strike zone, and he's pitching today.
Here's Ryan Klesko. He takes a called strike on the outside. Yeah, Dierker thought that Lima was sometimes better off with 3 days rest than the usual 4. Klesko with a big cut, 0-2.
When I watched him pitch Saturday, I think, to me, that was the game that proved to me that Jose Lima could be a big star in this league. He took the Los Angeles Dodgers lineup, and he just manhandled them. And he pitched great, similar to what he's doing today. And he kept his emotions under check that day because that was a big game for them. I think that his emotions are, I don't think you can get too high. I really don't. I mean, I like his intensity. I like what he's doing. So, you know, I just like the way he pitches.
That's a bloop on a broken bat into center field, and Klesko gets his second consecutive single, and he is now 2 for 3 in this one. 1 out, 1 on in the 6th inning. Well, some moves are moves where you say, man, the GM really pulled off a heist in Detroit. If you mention Jose Lima's name, the Tiger fans grimace because he was a Tiger. On the other hand, Jerry Hunsaker, the man who pulled off that heist in the trade, said, how smart am I? I mean, he came to spring training, and there's Hunsaker. He said, we gave him a look, and we didn't like what we saw. He was getting lit up all spring, and he wasn't going to make our staff. So Chris Holt got injured that spring, so we had a spot for him, and he made the club just as a stopgap. He started winning. He had the biggest year of his life, winning 16 last year, and of course now he's a mainstay. That's off the glove of Caminetti by Andrew Jones. Klesko's going to try for third. Ward slipping in the grass as he went for that ball, and into second base is the speedy Andrew Jones, and the Braves have runners at second and third with 1 out.
John, there must be something. They wet the field too much or something out there. I mean, the grass is too slippery for a day like today, other than they've added water. It's not from any moisture that came from any place other than the watering system. But we see a lot of guys sliding as that ball gets past Caminetti, and by the time Ward got in there, he was trying to prepare himself to make a throw to third base to get Klesko, and he slipped.
A double for Andrew Jones, the first extra base hit of this series for the Braves. Eddie Perez swinging at a low fastball out of the strike zone to strike 1.
Tough situation for the Astros because you do not want to play the infield in, but you don't feel like you can give up any more runs with the way Millwood is pitching.
We're in the 6th inning now. Millwood has only allowed 1 hit to the Astros.
And you're down at the bottom of the order. You have Perez and Hernandez. So what they figure is to try to get Perez out, then they would walk Hernandez, and then they would be able to pitch to Millwood to try to end the inning. That's the strategy that they're employing here rather than playing the infield in.
Well, if he could hit a ground ball past the pitcher,
right,
so one of the middle infielders, he'll get that run home without getting a hit.
Well, he's going completely for the strikeout.
There's a high fly ball, deep enough. Klesko tagging, Andrew Jones tagging, Everett making the catch. Both runners trying to advance. No. Jones stops, but scoring is Klesko. And it is 2-1 Atlanta. Perez gets it done with the sacrifice fly. Eddie Perez, the veteran catcher who used to be just the catcher, the designated catcher for Greg Maddux, but thrust into the regulars role with the injury to Javi Lopez this year, but he picks up some big-time offense right there.
Well, they're definitely going for the strikeout, and he makes a good swing. That was a good pitch. It was down and away, and Perez made a good swing and got it in the air.
They're going to walk Hernandez intentionally, with Millwood coming up next. This will be the first walk of the game thrown by Millwood. Andrew Jones, by the way, getting the double. It was just off the glove of Caminetti.
Yeah,
Caminetti almost came up with it.
Yeah, I thought he was going to knock it down, but it got through him, and Jones hustling into second base for a double. But again, I mean, Ward slipped in the outfield, and that allowed both Jones and Klesko to advance the extra base.
That was the first hit in a division series game that young Andrew Jones has ever had. He had gone 0 for 20 in these first-round series games until that hit.
And that's amazing. Here's a guy that had such a great impact on the World Series as a rookie.
Yeah. 1996, he hit 2 home runs in his first World Series game. Well, here's Millwood, who has shown himself not to be a total loss up there with the bat. Today he has struck out and also singled. Base hit could mean a run here. Chopped foul on the third base side. 2-1. Atlanta is out in front. The Braves, for the second time today, have gone ahead. They never led in yesterday's game. This all started on Klesko's single to center. The changeup bounced foul, third base side, and it is 0-2. Gerald Williams, the leadoff man, is on deck. Kevin Millwood, in his last 10 starts of the year, allowed no more than 2 earned runs in any of them. A 1.29 ERA in that span. That's a foul off his foot. 0-2 the count. Millwood had 9 games this year, Joe, where he allowed 2 hits or 3 hits and no more. 9 times that happened.
And he's working on a 1-hitter right now. So he has had some games where he was just in complete control.
0-2 the count. He just got a piece of that slider to stay alive. 2 strikes. Millwood pitched 228 innings and gave up only 168 hits. 205 strikeouts, only 59 walks. Andrew Jones, who has great speed at second. Jose Hernandez, who also runs well at first base. Yesterday, in game 1, the score was tied at 1 into the 6th inning, and then Darrell Ward hit a home run against Maddox to break the tie. Today, the sacrifice fly by Perez breaks the tie for Atlanta in the 6th inning. 1-2. And for one of the few times in this series, you hear the crowd getting into it a little bit now.
Well, it's a bigger crowd than they had last night. It appears that just some of the upper deck seats aren't filled, but most of the other ones are.
And Millwood down on strikes. That's the inning. 2-1 Atlanta. It'll be Javier, then Jeff Bagwell and Carl Everett when we return. Braves ahead now 2-1 in this must-win game. A best-of-5 series. If they lose, they'd be down 2-0. Kevin Millwood has taken care of the Astros for most of the day, having retired 14 in a row since Caminetti's second inning home run, which is the only hit that he has given up. He has not walked anybody. So there is young Millwood. This was a big play here, Joe, and the ball hit by Andrew Jones, and Klesko racing for third after it got past Caminetti.
Well, it hit off his glove, and he's trying to smother it. He couldn't. But see, right here, Ward has a chance. I thought he was going to have a shot at Klesko. You can see he finally comes into the picture. But it was so wet out there, he slid, and it's just tough in the outfield right now. And, John, as you mentioned this morning, there was a lot of fog here in Atlanta, and I guess that's where the moisture is coming from.
Yeah, I looked out my window over toward Turner Field from the downtown hotel. There's a drag bunt, but it goes right back to Millwood. And Javier is thrown out at first base. Vern Rule, the pitching coach, with Jose Lima. Vern Rule wearing a microphone. Here's what they talked about when the inning was over.
We're going to score. We're going to score, all right? Keep working hard.
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine.
Keep working hard. Get that first guy next inning, all right?
One down, Jeff Bagwell. Well, they haven't scored so far. He promised them they'd score.
Well, I think he meant before it was over.
Slider right there on the outside. Man, that's as good a pitch as you ever see on a first pitch.
A lot of times a guy will, your teammates say, hey, 1 run's not going to beat us. And in a lot of cases, they're correct. But today, I don't know if that's going to hold true or not, because Millwood, the way he's throwing, and he's not throwing a lot of pitches to get the job done. So, I mean, he's very capable of going 9 innings if he can, maintain his stuff and
only 72
not
pitches.
give up any more hits.
Three infielders to the left side of second against Bagwell. 0-2 the count. Bagwell is 0 for 2 in the game. The curveball right to Chipper Jones and off Chipper Jones. Bagwell is aboard. An error to Chipper Jones.
I don't know if he got it on the in-between hop or he just waited on it. He definitely waited, but he probably thought he was going to get the good hop, and he got an in-between hop. Now watch, you'll see him wait for it. See, he waits right there. He doesn't come get it, and he gets the in-between hop. But see right there, he just kind of waits on it, and it becomes a very difficult play.
So Bagwell is aboard. Only the second runner. In fact, he's really the first runner. The first time Millwood has had to work from the stretch, as Carl Everett takes a called strike with a fastball. The only other guy who reached base was Caminetti, and he took a slow tour of the bases after hitting a home run in the second. Bagwell is capable of stealing a base. Bagwell had 30 steals this year. Everett, a strike on the outside. Klesko on the bag with Bagwell at first. The second baseman, Boone, is shaded over toward the middle. Way over. Big hole on the right side for Everett to shoot at. And he takes a shot, but Boone gets it. There's one. Hernandez to first, and it goes past Klesko.
Nice job by Klesko. Nice job by Klesko to block it and then to chase it down.
Everett had to hold at first base. Everett is a very fast runner, so Hernandez did not have much of a chance to throw him out there.
Well, watch this play by Klesko. Bagwell goes after Hernandez. Ball bounces. Look at him. He does the right thing. He comes off the bag and blocks the ball. Often you see people try to catch it or short hop it. He did a great job of blocking it with his chest and then chased it down.
It is 2-1. The Braves ahead in the 7th inning. Millwood has been pitching through the big power of the Astros in this inning. Bagwell reached on the error. Now Everett is hit into a forced play. 2 down. But here is Caminetti, who has hit a home run today, and he is on a roll. Too high. 1 ball, no strikes. Caminetti hit one back to Millwood his last time.
And John, like I said earlier, when he gets on a roll, I mean, he can stay hot for quite a while.
He now has had 38 RBIs in the last 34 games. Everett, who also has excellent speed, 27 steals during the season, is at first. 1 ball, no strikes. And he might have broken his bat hitting that slider. Boone throws him out. The inning is over. And Millwood continues to make it look ridiculously easy. The top of the order coming for Atlanta. 2-1 Braves. Atlanta 2. Houston 1. Last of the 7th inning. Top of the order for the Braves. They'd like to get a little more comfortable. It will be Gerald Williams, Brett Boone, and Chipper Jones against Jose Lima. And that's too low for ball 1. Williams beat out an infield hit his first time, stole second, and then scored a run on the Jordan single to put the Braves ahead in the first. That's a changeup through there for a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Since then, he has struck out and hit into a forced play. 1 for 3. Oh, man, that's that low changeup. 1 ball, 2 strikes. It's a big motion.
Now, you know what's amazed me, as well as they're pitching, there's only been 1 base on balls in the entire ball game, and that was intentional. It's one of those games where neither pitcher deserves to lose.
Now, Lima gave up that run in the 6th inning, and it might have been that heavy fog early this morning that contributed to it. As Ward slipped and fell and slid right past the ball in shallow left. An apparent chance to throw out Klesko going to third. John Rocker, who's been the Braves' closer this year, the young left-hander, had a big year out of the bullpen. He's their version of Billy Wagner. He's starting to limber up out there. Change up, popped up. Shallow right center. Everett, 1 away. More baseball coming up in these division series tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific on Fox. The Boston Red Sox and Pedro Martinez up against Manny Ramirez, Roberto Alomar, and that just flamboyant Cleveland Indians lineup. Bartolo Colon on the mound. Then at 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 Pacific, the New York Mets try to go 2 up on Arizona on ESPN. 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 Pacific on ESPN tonight. Chris Berman and Ray Knight will be there to bring you the ball game. Huge game for Arizona. That one is driven deep into left center by Brett Boone. That one is off the top of the wall. Ward bobbles the carom, and now Boone will try for third, and he makes it.
Well, there was a mix-up in the outfield. Everett was waiting for the carom. He had it played perfectly. Ward came across and tried to pick it up and knocked it away from both of them. But Brett Boone put a charge into that ball. That's a long way out there in left center field, though. Lima starts him off with a sinker, and it's down, and Boone rips it. Now watch. You'll see Everett waiting right there for it to come back, and Ward cuts across in front of him. What that actually did was give Boone one more base.
And now they're going to go ahead and walk Chipper Jones intentionally to set up the double play with the dangerous Brian Jordan coming up next. Jordan, who had the team lead in RBIs this year. He had more RBIs than Chipper Jones.
I tell you, this is a very difficult decision to make, but I understand what Larry's doing. But this is a difficult decision to make because now you walk Chipper Jones, you're not going to double up Brian Jordan. So that means you're going to have to pitch to Jordan and Klesko to get out of it anyway.
Here comes ball 4. So that puts runners at first and third. One out, and Jordan will come to the plate. Both bullpens have action going. Larry Dierker is going to come out to the mound to talk to Lima. Dierker's got a man who was one of his top relievers in a setup role for half the season, Scott Ellerton, before he moved into the rotation the second half of the year. So Ellerton getting ready. Atlanta also has some action going in their bullpen. So Dierker at the mound along with Eusebio, Gutierrez, Lima, and Bagwell. The whole infield other than Caminetti meeting at the mound there as Dierker talks to Lima.
Well, John, what they're really talking about is how to handle if Chipper Jones takes off. Because if Chipper Jones takes off, he may be doing them a favor. Or they're talking about how to handle a steal situation. That's why he called the middle infielders in. And he wants to tell them where he wants them to play. See, there's two things you can do here. You play halfway, whereas if the ball's hit a one-hop tree, you can go to second base for a double play. Or if the ball's hit in front of you, you charge it, and you go home and get Klesko. It looks like they're playing back for a double play, so the ball will have to be hit to shortstop or second base to make a double play on Jordan.
Jordan swings away and drives one deep into center field. Everett going back to the warning track. He's at the wall, and he makes the catch. Both runners tag up. Scoring Boone to second. Jones, and he makes it. Just ahead of the throw by Everett. And Atlanta gets that extra run. It is now 3-1 Braves.
And I tell you what, Klesko had not crossed the plate when they reached the tag. Jones at second base. Boone, I'm sorry, had not crossed the plate. And if Jones would have been out at second base, that run would not have counted. Fastball right in the middle of the plate. He jams him a little bit, but he hits it long enough and deep enough that Everett had no chance of making a throw to any base. And watch, he throws to second base. Now Chipper Jones is sliding in, and he just barely beats it, but Boone had not crossed the plate when that happened.
Jose Lima leaves the game. Larry Dierker calling for Ellerton from the bullpen. 3-1. Atlanta will be right back. And tomorrow, don't forget now, Game 2 of the Red Sox-Cleveland Indians Division Series, seen right here on ESPN at 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 Pacific from Jacobs Field. Tomorrow night, 8 Eastern on Fox. Game 2 from Yankee Stadium. The Texas Rangers and the New York Yankees for the big ballpark in the Bronx. Here, 3-1. Atlanta on top, and Rick Sutcliffe, our spotlight reporter, standing by.
Well, John, I think that Jose Lima can be proud of the job he did this afternoon. He took one for the team going out there on 1 day's less rest. But I'm a little bit surprised right here that Dierker brought in Ellerton to what I think is going to be an intentional base on balls to Klesko. Klesko hit .324 against right-handers, 20 home runs. Why don't you go ahead and let Lima intentionally walk Klesko, and then you've got your reliever Sharp ready to make a good pitch to Andrew Jones, who's on deck. He only hit .277 against right-handers this year.
All right, so here's Klesko, and they're going to go after Klesko, apparently. Oh, man, he blew the fastball by him at his 0-1.
Well, you know, if I understand what Rick is saying, I look, and I'll go back to the first part of this inning. The run that scored should not have scored. It should have been a double for Boone rather than a triple.
And that's too low. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And they would have had a place to walk Chipper Jones, set up the double play, which they tried to do. And, you know, they would have been in better shape. So the misplay in the outfield, the confusion on the carom out there really cost them a run.
Darrell Ward, a first baseman who's been playing the outfield. They already are pretty well covered at first base. Klesko lifts a foul. Rick Sutcliffe downstairs.
A little bit surprised right here, John. Klesko with 2 base hits in his last 2 at-bats. He does not strike out very much this year. That's a change that he and Don Baylor made. Ellerton's a hard thrower. He's got a couple of out pitches, but Andrew Jones, he's a guy that's going to chase that slider a lot more than Klesko normally would. He's on deck. We'll see what happens.
It is interesting. There's the base hit to left field. And that will get Chipper Jones home. It is 4-1.
Well, if you're the Astros, you have to look at some of these balls that they hit. That ball was, I don't know where he hit it. I don't know if he hit it off the end of the bat or off his fist, but it still becomes a base hit. And I guess to answer the question, the reason Dierker didn't walk him, well, he gets that right off the end of the bat. Watch this big swing, but he gets it right off the end of the bat, and the ball actually lands just past shortstop in left field, and here comes Chipper. You have to give Chipper credit for moving up on the long fly ball by Jordan, and he scores. And he's saying, hit the ball. One of the things I think that Dierker was thinking about.
As Andrew Jones stands in, takes a strike with a slider.
John, you're already down 3-1, and the more men you put on base, the more risk you take. I think that's what he was thinking when he let Ellerton pitch to Klesko. But I definitely understand Rick's point.
2-down runner at first. The curveball away from Eusebio, and over to second base goes Klesko. You know, the ironic part of all of that is Dierker said before the game to me behind the batting cage that he really was a guy who didn't favor the intentional walk.
Well, right. But I know why. Larry and I came to the big leagues together. We used to sit on the bench and talk, and he kind of learned baseball from the same people that I learned baseball from.
1-1 to Andrew Jones. Too low. 2-1.
And that was a philosophy that wasn't, a big deal. You only walked Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, those kind of people. You didn't walk other players. You only walked those types of hitters in Dierker's day, and so he didn't like it. Plus, Dierker was around Bill Burden. Bill Burden didn't like to walk hitters.
That one back to the screen. So Ellerton is having a lot of problems. This is not the same Ellerton we saw earlier this year when he was in the bullpen. I mean, that Scott Ellerton was throwing 94, 95 miles an hour. And we've been seeing him up around 88, 89 with his fastball.
This looks more like a changeup. And it bounces in front of Eusebio and bounces all the way back to the fence.
So 2 wild pitches here. 3-1 to Andrew Jones. Fastball fouled away into the upper deck. This is the first time that Ellerton has pitched in relief since the end of June. Ellerton made 27 relief appearances plus 15 starts in the regular season, was 9-5 with a 3.48 earned run average. 3-2 the count. Fastball lined into left field, a base hit. Klesko scores, and it is 5-1. They scored 3 times here in the 7th inning.
Well, maybe it wouldn't have mattered. But this has been a disastrous inning, and I really believe all of that was caused by Boone's ball being turned into a triple rather than a double. It's allowed other people to be able to move up on base.
Now Eddie Perez, and here comes Larry Dierker again. Perez, who put the Braves ahead in the 6th inning with a sacrifice fly, breaking the 1-1 tie. That side is not Dierker. That's Vern Rule.
That's Vernon. This is a fastball, and it stays in the middle of the plate. And Andrew Jones, very good fastball hitter. And he ripped it to left field for a base hit.
Well, we had heard stories that the young Ellerton was having some shoulder tightness late in the season. You know, and Vern Rule wearing a microphone. And let's listen in now with that conversation he just had on the mound.
Let your heart slow down a little bit here, all right? Yeah. One at a time. Get yourself going. All right. You're trying to force it in there. Finish your pitches. Just finish.
And a slider low and outside to Eddie Perez.
Well, I don't know if I heard him correctly. He said, let your heart slow down here a little bit and finish your pitches. I understood that part, but I think he said, let your heart slow down, meaning I guess you're excited and just relax and you finish your pitches.
And fastball, again, 89 miles an hour with that fastball. And again, earlier this year when he was in the bullpen, he was up in the mid-90s. Fans chanting Eddie. And they used to chant Eddie for Eddie Murray in Baltimore.
Well, they've been quiet for a day and a half.
That slider bounced to short. Gutierrez boots it. Recovers in time. Remember, Perez has 2 bad knees and is just not able to run at all. It is now 5-1 Atlanta. We move to the 8th. The Atlanta Braves struggling to stay alive in this series and now leading 5-1 behind Kevin Millwood as we go to the 8th inning. Here's the Astros New Era Sportscaps in-game box score, and a lot of offers tonight. The only hit for the Astros by Ken Caminetti, a home run back in the 2nd inning. Here's Darrell Ward. He chases that high fastball way up out of the zone, and Ward, who looked like anything but a rookie yesterday, suddenly looking young and a bit overexcited, chasing a high pitch there with his team down by 4 runs. Changes for the Braves in the infield. Goes back up there again, but this time Ward takes it. 1 ball, 1 strike. Walt Weiss replaces Jose Hernandez at short. And Brian Hunter, who's had an excellent glove this year, replacing Ryan Klesko at first base. That slider is popped up foul and back out of play.
And not exactly where Millwood wanted to throw that one.
Now the Braves bullpen is busy. Any signs that Millwood might be tiring, they've got people to go to. John Smoltz has been warming up. He is in the bullpen early on. He's not scheduled to start until Saturday. John Rockner, the closer, is also up out there. Oh, man. The curveball for the strikeout. 1 away. Now our spotlight reporter, Rick Sucklick.
John, it's pretty impressive the performance that Kevin Millwood's putting on, not only athletically, but intelligence as well. Look at him right here. There's a ground ball right back to him. Now watch him lean back into fair territory. Even though he fell down, he knows that's where Klesko is. He knows the only guy behind him on that ball is the center fielder. Now watch him pitch with the breaking ball here. It's a good breaking ball, but it's in a pretty good location as well.
All right. Kevin Millwood has been excellent in all aspects of the game today. Even has a hit with the bat on the other side. 2-0 to Eusebio. He has not allowed a hit since the 2nd inning. Back in June, Jeff Bagwell said it was the best game pitched against the Astros this year when Millwood shut them down on 2 hits for 7 innings with 11 strikeouts in a win. 2-1 down to Eusebio. In the regular season, the Braves won 6 and lost only 1 to the Astros. Too high. 3-1 the count. And that's a pretty tough stand. You got Kevin Millwood, who, as you see, Rena Millwood, Kevin's wife, in from North Carolina to watch her husband here today. Pretty tough staff. You got Millwood on the hill, and then you got John Smoltz warming up in the bullpen. Smoltz has been one of the preeminent postseason big money pitchers of the 90s. Backing up Millwood today, just in case. But Millwood has not needed much help in this one. He has gone to a 3-ball count, though, on each of the first 2 hitters of this inning. That's a foul, and that might have been ball 4 had Eusebio taken it. He had no 3-ball counts to any hitters until this inning. Now 2 in a row. 3-2 the count. 1 out. And that slider kind of hung up there again, but it's a pop fly. Boone wants it, but Jordan calls him off. I'm out of here, Brian. I'm out of here, man.
Well, that's what you're supposed to do. You go until the outfielder calls you off, and then you get out of the way. It's his call. It's his ball. And Boone is saying, I can take it. But Jordan calls him off, and Boone does a good job of getting out of the way. Boone wasn't a football player like Jordan, and he knows that he's going to lose that collision.
Good idea to get out of the way. That's right. Ricky Gutierrez has hit one back to the mound and struck out. Fastball misses. Well, 94 miles an hour here in the 8th inning. That was his 91st pitch of the game. So not a real high total. 5-1 Atlanta. That is down the right field line, twisting back and foul. In amongst the spectators out there, 1 ball, 1 strike. Bill Spires has come out on deck to bat for the pitcher if Gutierrez could get on base, but getting on base has been quite a problem for the Astros. Caminetti the only hit, Bagwell the only man who's actually been on base. He reached on an error. Slider back to the screen. 1-2 the count. Game 3 of this series will be Friday at the Astrodome. And unlike here in Atlanta for these first 2 games, you know the Astrodome is going to be filled up and it will be rocking. That curveball hit high and foul down the right field line. Back out of play. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And Mike Hampton, the 22-game winner, on full rest. Both Reynolds yesterday and Lima today pitched on only 3 days of rest, but Hampton on his full 4 days will be up against Glavine on Friday. 1-2 the count. Curves him but misses. 2-2. Jeff Bagwell 0 for 3 today. Almost the whole Astros lineup is 0 for something. Fastball fouled off to the right. Well, Gutierrez giving him a strong battle here. And that's about the most the Astros hitters have been able to say since the home run in the second by Caminetti, that they battled him, because most of them have been going down and going down quickly. He struck him out with another curveball. That's 8 strikeouts, no walks, 1 hit given up in 8 innings. Kevin Millwood has come up big today. And 1 into the last of the 8th inning from Turner Field. The Braves trying to tie this series up at a game apiece. Here's the Braves' new era sports caps in-game box score. And the top of the order done a lot of damage today. Gerald Williams, a single, a steal, and a run. Brett Boone, a couple of hits, including a big double to start that 3-run 7th inning. Chipper Jones has had 1 hit, plus a walk and a run scored. Brian Jordan drove in the first run and also drove in the 3rd run with a big sacrifice fly in the 7th inning. Andrew Jones, a couple of hits, his first 2 in division series play after going 0 for 20. Eddie Perez with the RBI to drive in the go-ahead run in the 6th inning. There's the new pitcher, right-hander Jay Powell. Was a setup man most of the year, was in 67 games. And I asked Larry Dierker why Powell was not in there in the 8th inning yesterday instead of Doug Henry. Not that Henry didn't do the job. He did a great job. But he said, hey, Henry matched up well with those hitters, and Powell kind of struggled at the end of the year. Hard throwing right-handed, misses with ball 1 to Walt Weiss, up for the first time in this series.
Well, that's what you get this time of the year, John, the matchup. They have a whole year of guys pitching and hitting against each other. And they can tell which ones have had success against the opposition's pitcher or his hitter. And I think that's why you make a lot of decisions this time of the year. You don't just stick with normal routine strategy.
Braves have out-hit the Astros 11-1 today. 5-1 the score. That's ball 2. Kevin Millwood is out on deck. Here's Millwood. That hit sharply. What a pickup by Bagwell. And from a sitting position, he gets it to Powell for the out.
And that's a much more difficult play than it appeared. The ball took a big hop, and that's why he almost missed it. I mean, he got over there, but the ball took a big hop, and he still had to field it as he was going down. Now watch. He starts over. Now right there, you see that big hop. He was going to field it about belt high, he thought. The ball bounced up real high, and he was still able to get his glove on it. Look at that. See, his glove is down low. All of a sudden, the ball takes a big hop, but he makes a fine fielding play. Good job there by Powell to get to first base.
Now Millwood, he got a standing ovation from this crowd at Turner Field as he came up, and a well-earned ovation. He's got a one-hitter going in the Braves' biggest game of the year up till now. The team that won more games than any other in the majors, 103, was up against it coming into this game, and it is 0-2.
And remember, the Braves have been in this situation before. Not necessarily in the division series, but they were down 3-1 to the Cardinals. You know, in the league championship series, they came back. I mean, they've come back a lot of times because they have such good pitching. I mean, Millwood shutting the Astros down today. Glavine is capable of doing it tomorrow. Smoltz is capable of doing it. And then you get back to Maddox maybe again. I mean, they're all capable of shutting down the opposition.
2 down, nobody on. Millwood heads back to the dugout. Smoltz will go on Saturday, and he was there in the bullpen if needed today. Coming up next on SportsCenter with Robin Roberts and Bob Lee, the Astros-Braves post-game wrap-up here from Turner Field. And will the grand slam last night by Alfonso Berry, the Diamondbacks, the Mets-Diamondbacks preview. That's all coming up on SportsCenter right after the game. 0-1 the count to Gerald Williams, who is 1 for 4. 5-1 Atlanta. They broke a 1-1 tie with a run in the 6th. Then they got 3 in the 7th. The Astros will have the pitcher spot due in the 9th inning. So we'll see a pinch hitter. Most likely Bill Spires if Millwood is still out there. And I don't see any reason, seeing as how he's got a one-hitter going, Joe, seeing as how he's pitching a completely dominant game, that he wouldn't be out there. And then Biggio and Javier. Bagwell would be due up 3rd in the inning, or 4th in the inning. Knocked down. Pitch back up. The one-hop throw. Bagwell got him. Caminetti got it there the quickest way possible on the one-hop, and Bagwell did the rest. Last chance for the Astros. 5-1 Atlanta.
Now, what? Potato skins, chicken fajitas, and Oreo madness? Holy cow, you just ate for the cycle.
Are you eat those fries?
Yeah.
5-1 Atlanta. Now to the 9th inning. Kevin Millwood Show continues here from Atlanta. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Bill Spires, the pinch hitter for Jay Powell. Let's see if he can have any more success than the rest of the Astros lineup against Millwood. Fastball, a strike. Still out there at 94 miles an hour. The crowd today, a little bigger than last night. 39,000 plus yesterday. 41,913 here today. Far from a sellout. That slider lifted foul off to the left. I mean, this Astros ball club, even with all of the injuries this year, there were not too many pitchers who went out and pitched one-hitters against them.
Well, I still think if you're the Astros, you have to be not happy, but you have to be pleased with the fact that Lima pitched well enough to win a ball game. You just ran into a buzzsaw here with Millwood, and the fact that your history with the Atlanta Braves, they're used to losing both games here and then having to go home to try to make up the difference. You're going home 1-1. That's not a bad position to be in.
1 ball, 2 strikes. That curveball rolled to second. Brett Boone, 1 away. Good luck. Now, our spotlight reporter, Rick Sutcliffe, has been keeping a close eye on Kevin Millwood's performance here today.
Pretty impressive, John. He wants this one-hitter. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if he gets it. And how has he done it? Well, as Joe said earlier, he goes north with the fastball. He goes south with the breaking ball. But watch him change speeds on that breaking ball. Locating it both the way to right-handers, left-handers. Takes a little bit off right there. And the biggest key for me, he's gotten the first hitter out in every inning here this afternoon.
All right, Rick. Big Biggio fouling one back on the first pitch. He's gotten the first hitter out in every inning, and he's gotten the second and third hitter out in almost every inning.
Because he's only given up 1 base hit and no bases on ball.
2 times the second hitter of an inning has reached base. And those are the only 2 hitters who've reached bases. Come into this inning having faced only 2 men over the minimum.
He had an error by Chipper Jones in the 7th and the home run by Caminetti in the 2nd.
Fastball. That one grabbed by Hunter. That's why he was in there. Millwood with a putout. 2 men gone. Nice play by Simon, moving quickly to his right. Not Simon, by Hunter. Brian Hunter who went in there. Randall Simon had played a lot of first base for the Braves this year, but he is not on this roster. So 2 down, nobody on, and Javier. Millwood 1 out away from a 1-hitter in the division series. Right to Boone. After the home run by Caminetti, maybe the hardest hit ball of the day. And Kevin Millwood, the first time he ever pitches in a postseason game, pitches a 1-hitter, which is the first time in a division series playoff game that anybody has ever pitched a 1-hitter. 5-1 Atlanta. A game they had to win, and they have done it. Riding the strong right arm of Kevin Millwood, a strong candidate for the Cy Young Award. And if you didn't know why before, now you know. 8 strikeouts, no walks, and he has just shut down the Houston Astros. And these 2 teams now will head to Houston for Game 3 on Friday, tied up at 1 game apiece in the best of 5. Kent Caminetti, the only hit of the day for the Astros. Jose Lima on short rest. Pitched well, but not well enough. Stay tuned now. Sports Center comes up next. John Miller for Rick Sutcliffe and Joe Morgan. Good night from Atlanta.